G'day, Anders Sorman-Nilsson here, futurist and the founder of Think. Today broadcasting from the streets of London on the way to a client meeting. This week, when I think about my commute, my weekly commute, it's included the likes of Stockholm, London, Hong Kong, Hanoi, Hong Kong, London. Later this evening I'll be traveling through to Paris and then back to Stockholm over the weekend. Kind of crazy schedule, and hopefully you've had a chance to tune into some of the videos to look at some of the innovation hotspots around the world. Here I've been hanging out for the last couple of days with my client Sidecore, focusing on digital storytelling. One of the challenges today in today's increasingly digitized environment is that sometimes the good old school traditional stories, the kind of mega mix of Brothers Grimm, the Hansel and Gretels of the world, that used to connect with us on a really heartfelt basis. Sometimes those analog stories don't translate into the digital world. And what I've really reflected on this week, hanging out with some of the digerati and digitalistas here in London, UK, is that we're starting to now see more and more brands tell really profound stories, brand stories, but also increasingly hero-focused stories about their customers in the digital world. A couple of examples of this, just to kind of give you some inspiration of brands that are doing this particularly well and are sort of bridging the divide between the analog world and the digital world when it comes to storytelling, is firstly Airbnb. Now, last year I spent 221 days traveling around the world. One of the saviors in terms of kind of feeling that I could get a little bit more local and not just staying in high-end hotels around the world is Airbnb. Airbnb really for me has curated an experience where, for example, a few months ago when I was in Chicago, I booked a really cool place in downtown Chicago via Airbnb through this website that gave me great reviews of a particular guy who had a really cool loft in Chicago. And we were able to transact via Airbnb in a really safe and secure way. He could tell that I was going to be a good tenant because I have good reviews on Airbnb. I've stayed in Airbnb properties around the world, and he could tell that I would be a good guest. I could also tell that he would be a good landlord. Airbnb, what it does is it sort of connects us global travelers, and it gives us this sort of savoir-faire very quickly about a new city. We get to stay local, and it kind of has that feeling of you picking up the keys to your very eccentric and very successful cousin's place in Chicago who happens to be away for the weekend. And when I arrived in Andrew's apartment, you know, the key was there, of course, which is nice, but he'd also picked up some fresh orange juice, written a little handwritten note to say that, hey, here are the 3 places you need to see if you're in Chicago for 2 days. And by the way, you know, here's my number if you need anything. Kind of has that feel, even though I never met Andrew face to face, the digital interface to interface kind of made us the hero of this journey. Airbnb places huge trust in both tenants and the landlords in this experience, but they make us feel like we're directing our own movie, the movie of our lives. And the brand heroes here are the likes of Andrew and Anders. They're getting to exchange and building further sort of digital trust, digital reputation, all curated by Airbnb. So Airbnb has my trust because I've had great encounters with landlords and also with tenants who've rented my properties around the world to make sure that a transaction happens and that you get to engage with another hero as you go on a journey around the world. Example number 2 that we spoke about at Digital Trendspot for Sidecore was the idea of the GoPro camera, the hero camera, which I use as I go around trendspotting around the world. It's a wide angle, really cool little device. It can take a knock or 2, and you can mount it to your forehead if you're skiing, for example, or you can mount it to your bike as you're doing a triathlon. You can wrap it around your head if you're going for a swim, for example, or you can mount it to your chest if you want to do video interviews with people around the world. Really cool little device. Incidentally, it's called Hero, and given that the theme here in London this week has been all about digital storytelling, turning the consumer or the customer into the hero, what hero the GoPro device does really well is it makes you the director of your own life. It turns you and your mates into heroes. And of course the whole brand experience, if you're not already a GoPro user, is you go onto the website and you see not just GoPro content, but you see user-generated content from the likes of myself and other people who might be recording their latest rock video, their music videos, or even their latest rally race or their latest MC amateur race on the weekend. All the content's user-generated. And this again tells us very much that it's not GoPro that's so important here, but GoPro enables all of us to create amazing content and to be the directors of our own lives and the movie or the story of our own lives. So when you think about your next brand engagement and how to really connect with the hearts and the minds of an increasingly digitized generation of consumers, think Airbnb, think GoPro, and think about how you can learn from these brands in terms of how they make the customer the hero of the brand journey. This is Anders Sorman-Nilsson broadcasting today from London in the UK. Ciao.